The NHL regular season is coming down to the wire, and even though most playoff teams are set, the chaos is just getting started. Seeding is still up for grabs, and that matters, or does it? Because here's the reality. Being a top seed in the NHL doesn't guarantee you anything. Avalanche already locked up the best record in hockey, and the Hurricanes are about to take the East, but that doesn't mean they're safe. Why? Because wildcard teams like the Kings and the Predators can sneak in, and those are the most dangerous teams in the playoffs. Already playing do or die hockey. At the same time, the MVP race just flipped. Nikita Kucherov is now leading over Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon. So everything is happening at once. Playoff races, MVP battles, and teams fighting for positioning. But the biggest question is this: does seeding actually matter, or is it all about who gets hot at the right time? Because in the NHL, momentum changes everything. The NHL regular season is officially down to its final days, and while the NHL playoff spots are mostly locked in, seeding chaos is everywhere heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs this weekend. At the top, Colorado already has clinched the President's Trophy, locking in home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. Meanwhile, Carolina Hurricanes are closing in on the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, continuing their dominant season. But the real drama, well, it's in the middle. The Atlantic Division is still a three-team race with the Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens, and Tampa Bay Lightning, all within a couple of points, meaning matchups could flip at the last second. Out west, the wild card race is pure chaos. The LA Kings currently control their own destiny, but teams like Nashville and San Jose are still mathematically alive. Bottom line, who knows who's in, but we don't know who's playing who yet. As we record this on Monday, the biggest takeaway to me is, and I know we're going to take a deeper dive into what to watch this week, but the reality is the NHL playoff format used to be great, and they changed it, and it doesn't make any sense now of why they're doing it this way. There's teams with a lot of good wins, and actually more wins in regulation, missing the postseason for teams that lose a lot in overtime. The way the seeding plays out doesn't make a lot of sense. I like the old system. The new one is creating for the wrong kind of controversy.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter in a way because the NHL postseason always brings out some of the craziness that sports has to offer. It is by far and away the most entertaining, the best entertainment for value playoff out of any of the four major sports. I would take the NHL playoffs over anything right about now.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, they had top eight in each conference, and then they would reseed. Seeding actually did probably matter. I mean, you have really good matchups in the first round with highly competitive teams, but you're eliminating some of your best teams in the early rounds instead of like later on. I don't necessarily know if it's the best path for the playoffs, but tonight's slate, as we record this on Monday, and I might have to post this one today and post a different one on Thursday that we usually do. But Monday's slate is massive. Playoff positioning and eliminations on the line. The Kings can clinch a playoff spot with a win. Flyers can lock into a playoff matchup with the Penguins. Hurricanes can secure the number one seed in the East. Sabres can win the Atlantic Division. And don't overlook the Pacific Division. The Vegas Golden Knights and Edmonton Oilers are battling for the top spot. Then that could determine the easier or much harder path at round one. At the same time, the draft lottery is shaping up with teams like the Blackhawks and the Rangers already locked into top odds. I look at like my own team in the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, what a poor time to start playing poor hockey. They had a chance to clinch on Sunday night, finally a playoff spot, which seems to be inevitable, but they continue to push it down the road with 2 games left as they get ready to play the Wild later this week. They had a chance against the Canucks on Sunday, a team that has been awful all season, and they lose in overtime.
Yeah, we've brought up the fact that last week, the New York Islanders firing their head coach, Patrick Waugh, to try to snap the team into better form. They did win their first game under Peter DeBoer, but they've lost the next 2. They're now out of the playoffs, and most teams at this point, again, on Monday as we record, only have about another game, maybe 2 left in the season, so it is really down to crunch time in the NHL right now.
As the season wraps, the biggest individual storyline is the MVP race, and right now, Frank, it's getting pretty heated at the top.
Yeah, right now, Nikita Kucherov surging into the lead for the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the league. Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon right now are right up there with him. Nikita Kucherov's case, He carried Tampa through injuries, still putting up insane numbers. Meanwhile, Zach Werenski now leading in the Norris race. New York Islander rookie Matthew Schaefer seems to be a lock for Rookie of the Year, and Andrei Vasilevsky leading the Vezina Trophy race as the best coach. So not only are teams fighting for positions, players like these guys are making last-second MVP and potential award statements as well.
Is seeding actually an advantage in the NHL playoffs, or does it not matter at all? I mean, eventually you do have to beat the best team if you want to win the NHL playoffs. But here's the thing. I mean, we're watching teams fight like crazy for positioning right now, but in the NHL, seeding can be completely misleading. A top seed might get stuck facing a red-hot wildcard team like the Kings or Predators, and teams that are playing playoff hockey before the playoffs even start. Meanwhile, a lower seed could actually have an easier matchup. So the question becomes, are teams better off chasing the top seed or just getting in and catching fire at the right time? Because in hockey, more than any sport, momentum beats seeding almost every time.